You've experienced that unease, haven't you? That elusive whisper, that tightness in your chest when someone approaches with a smile that's too sweet, with words that sound right but conceal something indefinable. You sense it, you feel it, but you can't confirm it. There are individuals who don't outwardly seem malevolent, yet there's an air of peril about them. They don't need to shout, strike, or threaten. They manipulate from the shadows, clothe their demands in reason, and mask their conditions as care. They start by requesting little, seemingly trivial things, a favor, a silence, a sacrifice, and you comply, unaware that each compromise further fractures your sense of self. Carl Jung cautioned, the most dangerous demons don't bear horns. They come wearing human faces. People who look utterly ordinary, demanding things that unwittingly drain you. And they do it all with a smile. Ever noticed feeling exhausted after interacting with certain individuals? It's not by chance. It's psychological depletion. They're extracting something from you, something intangible yet essential. Your autonomy, your discernment, your essence. They're not just stealing your time. They're taking pieces of your spirit, bit by bit. And the worst part? You're giving it to them willingly, out of fear of saying no, thinking you're overreacting because they are friends, family, partners. But here's the harsh truth. Not all that masquerades as love is genuine. Often, what's labeled as affection is merely a sophisticated tactic of control. Fail to recognize it early, and you'll shrink into a lesser version of yourself, shaped by others. Pay close attention now. There are 5 demands that, if made of you, should prompt you to leave immediately. Don't ponder. Don't analyze. Don't seek advice. Just flee, because these are not mere requests. They signal emotional manipulation, signs that the person doesn't seek your happiness. They seek your submission. Jung believed the bravest act is to confront your own darkness, but equally, it's to recognize the darkness others cast upon you, mistaking it for your own reflection. This isn't just another video. I'm not here to offer cliché motivational quotes or stale guidance. Today, we address the uncomfortable truth. There are individuals who erode you with each favor they seek, with every opinion they impose, with every piece of you they demand you sacrifice at their emotional altar. If you can't spot them, you'll end up just another soul dimmed by compliance, convinced of their goodness, while being consumed gradually. Think you're free? Think again. Perhaps your entire existence is constructed around pleasing others. Maybe you're so conditioned to appease that you can't even imagine who you'd be if you stopped complying. The most profound act of rebellion today? Declaring, I will not accept this, because behind each of those 5 demands lurks a sinister intent to reshape you, to suppress you, to silence you, to erase you. But there's still time. Jung said enlightenment doesn't come from visualizing beings of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Brace yourself as we're about to delve into that darkness, to unearth what you're reluctant to see, yet what is destroying you. You're here not by coincidence. Something within signals that you must sever ties, despite the pain. because staying is painful too, often even more so. Listen closely, for if you tolerate these 5 demands, the cost will be immense, extremely so. Ready? Let's begin. If there's one thing to etch into your mind, it's this: anyone demanding any of these 5 things doesn't seek your well-being. They seek your capitulation. They're indifferent to who you are. They are focused on what they can make you into. And if you don't respond swiftly, you'll become merely a shadow of yourself, ensnared in a web that might resemble love, but reeks of control. The first demand is the most. They ask you to disregard your intuition, not through yelling, not through force, but with a gentle tone, as though protecting you from yourself. They sow doubt. They assert you're seeing things that aren't there, that you're too sensitive, that you're making mountains out of molehills. And you, aiming to avoid conflict, to maintain peace, begin to betray yourself. Doubt infiltrates your being like dampness, and this dampness rots everything. Ironically, the intuition they urge you to suppress is often the only thing still functioning when all else has been manipulated. It's your last stronghold of psychological independence. That discomfort in your chest, that peculiar recurring dream, that unease when they enter the room, it's not paranoia. It's your subconscious desperately signaling from deep within. Jung stated that the personal unconscious communicates via symbols, yet initially it speaks through the body. If someone attempts to detach you from this inner compass, they aren't aiming for your clarity. They seek your confusion. Doubt is a precursor to control. If you're unsure of your feelings, you become pliable. And when pliable, you become useful. Here's a disturbing thought. When you suppress your intuition to please others, it's not that your feelings cease. It's that you cease trusting those feelings, turning you into a puppet of external dictates. You've deactivated your alarm system like someone disabling a smoke detector because it's noisy, ignoring the ongoing blaze. As you acclimate to the smoke, the second demand emerges, urging you to morph into a more palatable, more compliant, more digestible version of yourself. It's no longer sufficient to ignore your instincts. Now, they demand something more sinister: your transformation, your cessation of being you. They won't articulate it outright, of course. They camouflage it as benign suggestions. What if you were a bit more upbeat? Sometimes you come off as aloof. Don't say that. It sounds harsh. No one will get you if you express it that way. Small phrases, like droplets of acid eroding your identity, and you already distrusting your own perceptions, begin to conform. You alter your laughter, your speech, your viewpoints. Even your silences are adjusted. You learn to filter your words, to hold your tongue, to behave as expected. And here's where something catastrophic occurs. The more you adapt, the less you recognize yourself. You're so preoccupied with pleasing that you forget to live. Jung discussed the concept of the persona, the social mask. But what these manipulators desire isn't your mask. They want you to mistake the mask for your true face, to forget who you once were. Because when you no longer remember your original self, they can manipulate you at will. And here's a cruel reality. Even if you change, even if you strive, it will never suffice. There will always be another aspect they insist you modify. They're not seeking a fit. They're seeking dissolution. A person who folds effortlessly, who doesn't challenge, who obeys without seeming to comply. And as you transform so profoundly that you scarcely recognize yourself, the third demand arises, the most exhausting, the most normalized. They require you to justify everything, always, to pardon the unpardonable, to comprehend the incomprehensible. Emotional manipulation begins subtly. They rationalize that everyone errs, that forgiveness is virtuous, that perfection is unattainable. And you, burdened with guilt, begin to bear responsibilities that aren't yours. They yell, and you excuse it as stress. They demean you, and you justify it as unintentional. They deceive you, and you dismiss it as confusion. You defend them, shield them, grant them endless chances. Because halting, acknowledging the pain they cause, would necessitate decisions, and making those decisions is more daunting than enduring the abuse. Jung was explicit. Do not cling to those departing, for by doing so, you obstruct the path of those who might truly value you. Yet, you don't release them, tethered by the hope they might change, convinced of their inherent goodness. Unseen by you, they've transformed you into their emotional reservoir. You supply empathy, they supply turmoil, and gradually, you might even believe the chaos is your fault, that if only you were more patient, more resilient, more composed, circumstances would improve. But the stark truth is, no matter how saintly you behave, they will continue to oppress you, because they don't seek redemption. They seek absolution. And once you've become their confidant, their counselor, their emotional support, they dare to demand yet another sacrifice. The fourth request, that you forfeit your aspirations, your plans, your time. Now, it's not merely your psyche at stake. Now, they target your very trajectory. Suddenly, everything that invigorates you, that imbues your life with purpose, is perceived as a threat. They downplay your ambitions, questioning why you should bother, suggesting postponement, and you comply. A postponed course, a deferred trip, a delayed crucial decision, followed by another, and yet another, until one day you find yourself entrenched in an existence not of your choosing, a routine alien to your desires, surrounded by individuals who neither inspire nor believe in you but merely leech off your vitality. And tragically, you might not even recognize whether you wish to escape, for everything distinctly yours has been usurped.